should be good. All right. So yeah, I had a great flight there. It's just that we were stuck at the airport for 30 hours. So
That is
it was
awful.
okay. It's all right. You know,
Yes.
when you're leaving for a vacation, it actually you're just like, I don't care when I get there, as long as I get there. That was
Yes.
kind of my attitude.
That's probably the best attitude to have.
Yeah, it was really fun though. And I do travel a lot though. That's why I'm here in Missouri right now.
I had no idea
We have a retreat we're putting out. So
oh my
that'll
God,
be fun.
so exciting.
Yeah, we've got like 20 people coming to a retreat here in Missouri. We got a big house we rented out. So
I was gonna ask, did you get like an Airbnb or are you staying in like a cottage? What'd you guys figure out?
It's a very big house with 2 big swimming pools. My kid's gonna love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're gonna hang out and go on the lake. And it's very hard to find people that are spiritually awakened and on the same page you are. And when we have these retreats, it's a good breath of fresh air to have people come and join us and to share that space and knowledge and be able to hang out with people that are into the same things. It's a real blessing. So that's why we try to do it 3 times a year.
I need to pay attention to when you announce these things. I want to come. I think that when you
great.
Vibe together and collective consciousness and everybody's doing the same, mindset together, that, oh my gosh, we can change the whole world. I think it's amazing.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you all. Hello. Hope everybody had a great weekend. And so Mikey is here on a Monday. Normally I have Mondays off, but I wanted to, you work so much, Mikey. You're always so busy. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity to come in and talk a bit more about being a death doula for everybody, because it's one of the most important jobs that most people don't even know about.
Yes, that is so true. Most people don't know what that is. They hear the word death doula and they're like, what is a death doula? What do you do? Are you a nurse? So
people think like you're some kind of Kevorkian, don't they?
Yes. Oh, that's another thing. Yeah. Some people think that I'm like euthanizing people, which I am not doing. Some people I know have asked me to, they're on their deathbed and they're actively dying and they're suffering, they're in pain, they're miserable. And they're like, can you just give me all of the medication and the comfort kit? I'm like, no, that's murder. I can't do that, but I can support you and help your soul pass quicker if you want. And we can work through the energy field and do it that way. But I can't, unless you're in the medical aid and dying program in New Jersey, not in Pennsylvania, I can't really do that for you. But a death doula is just for people who don't know what it is. I'm sure you guys have heard of a birthing midwife or doula. They help us labor into the world. A death doula helps us labor out of the world. So we are like the non-medical side of hospice. We assist and support with all things non-medical. So we will do legacy projects, end of life planning, comfort care. I do a lot of Reiki through comfort care for all of my clients. I do respite care, which is like your ADLs, which is like the changing, the bathing, the brushing the teeth, all that kind of hygiene stuff. And for me, I'm also a medium. I've been one from my whole life. So if the clients would like, some help passing or some work after the individual has passed and they're struggling with their grief, I can support them that way too. Not every doula does that. That's just me. Some are nurses, some are social workers, which is also my background. So it's a calling to be in this space. It is a very sacred and tender time in one's life. It is very similar to birth, just at the end of life. So the doulas work in addition to hospice. We're an awesome team together. I feel like most people who have the best death possible are ones that have their hospice team to provide all the medication and the the medical treatment of the soul and the person who's dying. And then hospice, our death doulas are there to help really the spiritual side and just anything non-medical to help them live while they are still dying. I take my clients wherever they want to go. If they have the energy to go to the beach or go to the casino or do something that they want to do, we will make it happen. So all of us are a little bit different, but that's just a really short version of what I do.
Oh, wow. Honestly, I think this is one of the most important things that you could have for somebody at the end of their life, because many people are so fearful of death. Yes. And so ill-equipped to deal with all of the things that come up when you're at that moment in your life. So to
Yes,
have
that's
somebody
so
with you
true.
to help back you up through that, especially to support the family too,
Yes.
because the family is usually just as traumatized, I think, a little bit by
Yes.
the client is.
Yeah, Laura, that's the perfect word to use is traumatized. And I see it. We in the Western world do not have this set up correctly. Like it's a mess. Back, in the day when we were still living together in smaller communities, you saw births at home, you saw deaths at home. Grandmom and granddad were living with you as they transitioned out of this life. So we saw the process. But now we're all extended and amputated from each other in these individual homes or in these facilities. We just kind of put our elders in these facilities and don't want to talk about it, don't want to see it. And then what? A lot of the time, these facilities are unfortunately drastically understaffed and, in my opinion, don't provide the best care
They're
for
basically
individuals.
placeholders. They're
Correct.
somewhere to send the people where they need to go. It's not
Yep.
the ideal situation, but it's better than being homeless or being, you know what I mean, out on the streets again.
Correct. Totally. And most people, I think the statistic is still 80%, but most people want to die at home. If they're diagnosed, if they're our age, younger, older, if they're diagnosed with a terminal illness, they want to be at home. They want to be around familiar surroundings. They want to be comfortable. So unfortunately, with our society right now and capitalism and the cost of living, most people cannot just quit their jobs and come provide the 24/7 care that somebody who's dying really, really needs. You have to change their position every 2 hours. There's medication that needs to be given. There's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to happen. And unfortunately, hospice is run, unless it's a couple of the small ones that are still out there that are nonprofit. Most of them have been purchased by these big corporations and they're run by insurance companies. And I know the hospice nurses want to do more of what I do, sit there for hours and really just provide the grief support, the emotional support, to be there, but they can't. They're only allowed 15, 20 minutes. I mean, half hour if you're lucky. And then they're on to their next client. They get, 20 to 25 clients in a certain mile radius they have to go. Where death doulas for me, I only take one, maybe two clients that are my direct care clients at a time because I am there for, 5, 6, 7 hours at a time, sometimes even longer if they are in the active dying phase. And we can take the time and the care and, like you said, be there for the family because we haven't seen death. Most of us haven't seen it because they're in these facilities and they're away and it's removed. And it is so overwhelming. I think what happens is from media or whatever, we think that, okay, our mom or dad is going on to hospice and then some nurse is going to come stay and be there and help this whole thing happen. And the reality is like, nope, it's now on to you to figure it out. And you don't know what is going on or what to do. You have to adjust really quickly. And I think it's so important to have a death doula there to educate, to provide the information, to let you know, here's where we are, here's what's coming next, here are solutions to make your loved one more comfortable. I can be an advocate and call the hospice, call the doctor, make sure church is coming in if they're religious, making sure that their family comes in time to say goodbye. There's just so much going on, and the family is, in my opinion, in trauma, like in fight or flight,
Yeah.
and their limbic systems are not online and they're just surviving, and it's overwhelming. And you need somebody to be like, it's okay, we're going to get through this, I'm going to help you through this. I provide a lot of support for the family, pre-hospice, during hospice, and post-death. There's so many things that we do as death doulas to provide, kind of bridging that gap to help provide the care that these people need and deserve.
Yeah. Especially for people that are dealing with some kind of an illness as well. Like, that must be adding even more stress and pain and all kinds of confusion to the situation as well.
Yes,
My father died of
absolutely.
cancer, and he died in a facility, and it's one of my biggest regrets. And I shouldn't say I didn't have much opportunity to change it, especially back then. But at the same time, seeing somebody who has done so much for other people and how he had to die alone was devastating.
That is the worst. And that's what I saw as a social worker. I saw so many people alone and not having the comfort that, in my opinion, they deserve. And it's, like when you're in the birthing realm as a doula, you don't necessarily, doulas are not replacing your doctor. I mean, you can still have a birth in a hospital and have a doula there.
Yeah.
We're here to really be there for you and your family and help different techniques to make sure that people are comfortable and safe. And a lot of my clients really like the Reiki that I provide, and it's amazing to watch them just surrender and feel less pain and less anxiety and just can kind of labor out of the world gently. I mean, not all deaths are like that, but the ones that I've been a part of have been pretty much like that.
God, you can imagine too the amount of money that costs too. Somebody just commented that somebody's paying $14,000 a month for a facility.
Yeah, that's about right. And again, like our generation, I'm not sure how old you are. I'm in my 40s, and as much as I would love to be able to not work, I have a young child. I have to work to provide for my family. I can't just drop literally everything to be there for my family, which is what happens a lot. And then they have to go into these facilities to get that 24/7 care. So I'm trying to, there's a lot of doulas. There's more and more being trained and educated. I really hope that this paradigm shift of having us there will help ease that burden. Like I know cost is a lot, and especially at the end of life. And if people don't have their affairs in order ahead of time, it can be a disaster, like truly a mess. I'm so sorry to hear that you're spending that much a month. That's a lot. That's a lot.
And for people who are, into nursing, but they feel that they are not able to help people as much as they truly deserve because of all the rules and the regulations and how big the their demand is. I'm just wondering how someone could start with being an RN and kind of segue into doing this work.
Totally. That's a great question. I want to say like a good percentage of death doulas are nurses. You don't have to be, you don't need to have that medical training, but I probably get 15 messages a day saying I'm a hospice nurse or I'm an LPN or an RN and I love what you do. And that's what I really want to do. And I am just so limited with the way the insurance companies are. And I said, that's why I left social work. I left social work because I was in a near-death experience on my way to work and it changed my whole life. And that's why I'm here doing what I'm doing now. But if that had not happened, I still would have left social work because that is what was eating me up inside. I came into these fields wanting to help people, and same with the nurses. They get into this field wanting to help people, and then we are so restricted and limited by these insurance companies, and we're not doing what's best for the client. And it's ridiculous. So if you're a nurse and you really want to be a death doula, technically you don't really need to go to any more training. There is no like overseeing board that's saying you need X amount of hours. That may change in the near future. We're in a lot of discussions about that, how to regulate things and keep it more of a consistent training. What I would recommend is that you still do the training just because it is different, the end of life care stuff and the other things that we do. Like I said, the legacy projects is different, advanced directives, grief support, let me think, Swedish death cleaning, which is when the individual is still alive and can make decisions, kind of like the Marie Kondo thing where you pick something up and you see if it sparks joy or whatever. So you pick up your belonging and you say, I want this to go to my daughter. I want this to go to my son. This can go in the trash, so that the individual has agency and can make those decisions, and it leaves less of a burden for your family. But so I would recommend, if you're a nurse, to still go ahead and get certified as a death doula. I think you're easier to be hired as well, but you don't necessarily have to do that. The thing that you do have to do is open up your own company, whether that's a nonprofit, an LLC, something like that. You will have to open your own business. You will have to be insured, and you're going to need to learn how to market yourself. And so a lot of the schools, especially my friend Death Doula Casey, her school it's a live school, even though it's virtual. So you get to see your other classmates, you get to talk to her anytime you need. And she really helps with the business side of things, which for me as a death doula was like kind of the hardest part for me. I never had any business training in my life. So I had to kind of stumble my way through that. But to be a nurse and a doula is like the best case scenario. And I find that they get hired all the time because you have the medical knowledge and then you have the doula knowledge, and together people, that's like priceless for people, you know?
Yes, definitely. I was just reading a comment. Ray said a little old lady, instead of checking into a nursing home, booked back-to-back cruises because she said it was cheaper.
I have seen that. I have actually seen that. Like they just, they sell all their stuff and they just stay on a cruise ship and they go see the world, and that's what they do. And I think it's amazing. I really support that. I think it's awesome.
But unfortunately, I was going to say, being on a cruise is probably not good for the elderly as well, though. A lot of them are at their very end, all that rocking around.
I know. I'm like, I hope you get a lot of Dramamine or other medications that you can use. I guess you can use the patch behind your ear too. So if you can't swallow, you can put that patch to help with the nausea. I wouldn't be able to do it. I get super seasick recently. I don't know why, especially because I've grown up on the water, but I don't know if it was after having my child or what. The certain boats and kayaking and things I used to love to do. I'm on the struggle bus. I gotta be popping that anti-nausea medication.
Well, if you don't mind backing up a little bit for people that haven't who missed our first conversation that we had a couple months ago, do you mind explaining a little bit about your near-death experience and how
Oh,
you
not
got
at
into this
all.
work?
Not at all. It's so interesting. I've been thinking about this a lot recently. Sometimes I just forget that it happened, and other times it's really present in my life. And I've been thinking about it a lot. So yeah, this is back in 2012. I was a social worker and I was a mobile therapist. So we would go into the community, into different homes, and all these things. So I was leaving one client's house to go to another, and somebody ran a red light and hit me direct on, and I was completely unconscious. Like I remember driving there, but I don't really remember the accident part. But when that happened, it was bad. I was stuck in the car. They had to get like what is that thing called? The jaws of life to like cut it open and pull me out and get me to the hospital. And I was in a coma during this time. I think it was a week or two. And I had some underlying autoimmune issues as well, which complicated the matter. They couldn't figure out who I was. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, which is so annoying because I had my medical ID bracelet on. I'm like, guys, just like look at the medical ID bracelet. That would have probably got me out of the coma faster. But when this like impact had happened, again, I was messed up. Like it was a really bad accident, but I didn't feel any pain at all. It was like, I say we're in our physical bodies. I was in my light body. I was above. I was floating above myself, watching everything happen. I could see the police officers and the firefighters and everybody panic trying to get me out of the car. I could see the ambulance ride to the hospital, and I'm just sort of watching this floating above myself, seeing it happen from like a bird's eye view. And I loved where I was. I was not trying to come back into that body. And I saw myself in the hospital. I saw the doctors and the nurses trying to figure out who I was, trying to intubate and, keep me alive. And it was the most peaceful experience. I thought maybe for a second I was having like a life review or something, like maybe I could just stay in this light body. I did not want to come out of it. I felt like I was still here in this earth, but also somewhere else. And it wasn't like I was in a body. I was energy. That's the best way to explain it. A light energy. And I could hear everything too. And in my head, that's how I spoke, or like my consciousness is what it felt like. It's hard to articulate the way I could communicate there, but I said, I don't want to go back. I want to, I really want to stay here. And I heard very, very loud and clear, you have bigger things to do. You're not done yet. And like that,
Wow.
I was in my physical body and felt all of the pain. And, if you've ever been intubated, you'll never forget that feeling. And it was crazy. So I was in my body. I knew it was going to be a long journey. I had to have a neck brace on for a long time because I had damage to my spine. I had a walker. I had a catheter. I needed home health nurses like coming in every single day. Once I was discharged from the hospital, they eventually figured out who I was. I think it was a nurse that one of the police officers or the firefighter brought my purse, and she had the sense to go find that purse and like look through and find my ID. And so she figured out who I was. And I thankfully had been to that hospital before. So I did have like an emergency contact. They called my mom. My mom said she has Addison's disease, which is where you don't produce any cortisol or adrenaline in your body. So I have to take steroids every day just to like stay alive. And if I'm in some kind of traumatic situation, whether it's a bee sting, a cold, an accident, anything that's pushing my threshold, I need to be on more steroids to compensate. So once they figured that out, they were able to get me the steroids. I was able to, medically, they said that's when the turning point had happened, and I was able to come back. But for me, it was more ethereal. It was more God, universe, source, whatever you prefer to say, sent me back is what it felt like. And I kind of felt like I was being punished, like, because it was such a long journey. And it was very, very hard. And it was, when I came back into my body, it was even more traumatic. I was alone. My family was several states away. I had to really like figure it out myself. I had leaned on some friends, and one in particular, and he was like a demon. He was a dark energy that was really good at concealing who he was. And he had taken my identity. He had emptied my bank account. He had stolen my belongings. He kept me locked in my apartment for days and days and days and had sexually assaulted me for days. And it like really almost killed me again. I still don't know how I survived that. It was my other friends who knew something was really wrong. Like, even if I'm super sick, I respond on my phone. You know, I can text, I can call. But this guy had taken my phone. Nobody had heard my voice. Nobody had seen me. They knew something was wrong. And my friends just kept like banging on the door and showing up and calling the cops, like, something is wrong, something is wrong, something is wrong. And and the reason I'm speaking to that is because this is where my deeper journey really began, because I needed to go through these things to learn discernment, to learn myself, to learn and trust my feeling and trust my gut on certain things. Even if something on the outside seems fine, like, I know when something isn't okay. And I needed to kind of go through this lesson to learn, in my opinion, how to really trust myself and not be such a people pleaser and not worry about anybody else. And I don't care who I offend or hurt feelings. I'm not going to put myself in bad situations anymore. I try to give myself grace, because at that time I did not have my full awakening yet. I had these gifts and I used them, but not to the full ability. I suppressed a lot of it. And I think when you push those things down and you are betraying yourself, you're going to be in vulnerable positions that are not going to end well. So it was really dark for a while, and it was really, really difficult, like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like, it really broke me. I lost my entire sense of my identity because I was so wrapped up in, I'm a social worker and this is what I do and I am strong and I'm an athlete. Like, I had to shed all of this shit. You know, I don't know what other word to use. My humanness, like, I had to have it all taken away to really brick by brick by brick rebuild myself and not give up on myself. And it was a battle. It was a fight. It was not easy. But after that, I just had, you know, after months, it was over a year. Like, I mean, I had to learn to walk again, talk again. I couldn't figure out how to turn an oven on correctly. Like, it's a miracle that I'm able to function as well as I am. I was told I'll be disabled for the rest of my life. I was told with my brain injury and my body injury and the Addison's disease, like, I am kind of done. Like, this is going to be your life. And I knew from being up there that that wasn't true. And I am so tenacious. If you tell me I can't do something, watch me, because I will.
Exactly. They motivated you. They thought they
Did.
were just gonna break it to you gently, and you're like, oh, I don't accept that. No, sorry.
That's it. That's it. And it was like I needed to go through that pain and that suffering and that trauma to believe in myself and not be looking for anybody else to fix me or heal me or tell me what to do next. And it was still a stumbling process. I still had a lot of lessons to learn. I still made mistakes along those ways in within relationships and other things that I shouldn't have. Like, I knew better, but again, I try to give myself grace. I didn't have the knowledge that I have now. And I decided, I have a child, and I have to co-parent, and my life was getting really complicated with his father. I ended up getting divorced. It was the best thing I ever did. It was a very abusive, toxic relationship. So again, I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like, my soul is not, I'm not doing this. I need to break this pattern. I need to choose me. And this was where my life really changed. I ended up taking my son and my two senior dogs. I moved in with a dear friend of mine, which should have only been a couple of months. It turned into almost a year of being there, which, it was during COVID. There was so much going on at the time in the world. It was difficult, but I knew I need to sustain myself and provide for my child. How am I going to do that? I was like, I can't go back to social work. I cannot work for somebody else. I need to make my own hours. I need to make my own income and set my rate and make it work for me. So I meditated, I prayed, I had read a book and it had something to do with a death doula. And I'm like, that sounds really, really where I'm meant to be. I've always been in those spaces. I'm very comfortable around death especially after my experience. And I'm not scared of those spaces. I'm called to those spaces. So I was like, let me go get my training. And I, squirreled away a little bit of money. I was able to go get my training and slowly, and I also did my Reiki attunement during that time. That took me months and months. Oh, actually, it took me a couple of years to go through that whole process. But I got all these certifications. I felt really like empowered by that. And it was like jumping off a cliff and just hoping that the universe was going to provide a safety net. And I decided, I'm tired of investing in all these other people. I'm going to invest in me, and I'm going to trust myself and my gut and my knowing and my gifts. And I started doing Reiki, and I started doing my tarot readings, and I started advertising that I was ready to start full-time death doula work. And that same day, I think it was a post on Facebook and Instagram, I got my first client, and that was like 3 years ago, and I haven't stopped since. The universe has provided. Every time one passes, another one is right there ready to have my services. And it's such a beautiful symbiotic relationship. Like, I get so much out of it just as much as I give to it. So that's like a short version of, not that short, but that's kind of how I ended up here. It wasn't like I woke up one day and decided to be a death doula. It was this big, powerful experience that I had that really changed my trajectory.
Wow, that is an incredible story. And well, first of all, I just want to say I'm so glad you're still with us, because that was, I mean, for you to overcome something like that is, in most cases, people don't have the inner strength to do that. I've seen it. Working in the many different jobs and volunteer work that I've done, I've seen so many people give up with less on their plate. So for you to have that inner strength and to turn it around and then to transmute it into a life where you help others who are in similar situations, I mean, you deserve your own Hallmark movie.
Oh my God, I should have a book or something. Maybe someday I'll
You should write a book. Seriously, Mikey, it's an incredible story. And to have that turned into something positive where you're actually helping other people. I mean, it's a miracle that you're able to like have the life that you have when you go so far, into pain and being broken in so many ways, and to repair yourself to that degree and to come back even stronger and helping other people. I mean, that, like I said, it's worthy of books, movies, all of it.
Thank you.
You're honestly an incredible person. And this is one of the reasons why I think I was so drawn to her, because I saw her videos explaining it, and the way that you explain things is so beautiful. I mean, it's simple. That's what people need. They need a simple understanding, but also just the amount of care that you put into it.
Thank you.
Is so beautiful. And I also just wanted to say that I'm very sorry to hear about what happened with your social media accounts getting hacked.
That has been a nightmare. I'm again, so here's to touch on what you were just saying with both things. So I have been to hell. Like, I have been to hell and back. Like, I have been there, and my vibration was low. I felt like I was teetering. Like, I'm either going to go down and I'm going to just let go and give up and die. But after I was in my light body and heard through my whole, I just got my little chills. My people are like right over here.
Your guys are like poke poke.
Yeah, they come in, and then I feel, I get goosebumps everywhere, and so I'm like, okay, I hear you, I'm here. But they're just acknowledging that's when I was in my light body, and I heard, you have bigger things to do. You're not done here. I didn't know what the hell that meant at the time, and now, like I said, I've been thinking about this a little bit more, and I feel like that's why I was able to transcend and transmute this. Like, something changed in my knowing. I had this experience, and I wanted to go higher in my vibration. I wanted to go into the light. And I used to listen to, and I still love my like depressing, sad music, but like just changing my attitude, changing my vibration, learning to love myself. I did a lot of therapy, a lot of deep EMDR type therapy. And I had to shed these old stories I had told about myself. I had to really let go of all these things that I thought were my identity and just be a self and just be a person. When you go places, most people say, hey, what do you do for a living? I didn't have anything to say. You know, I'm like, I'm just a self, and here's Mikey, and here's who I am. And that is uncomfortable. Like, that is uncomfortable. And the grief I had to let go of the life that I thought I was going to have, I had to go through those stages. And I still, you know, there's still stuff around that, you know, but I can now, I'm far enough into my practice now that I can look back and say, I needed that. Like, I'm one of these stubborn people and almost loyal to a fault, where I'll stay in a place that no longer serves me. And I am like, I'm never doing that again. Like, I have a higher calling, a higher purpose. And, you know, I'll be honest, like, in my physical body now today, I'm still in a lot of pain. Like, I have a lot of chronic pain issues that have lingered from the accident. And with my Addison's disease, and I also have a connective tissue disorder as well. So I'm in a lot of physical pain. So for me to work, I need it to be purposeful. I need it to be something where I'm helping others. Like, I, I, there's no point in me existing if I'm just like working, like, for me, like working retail or sales or something. Like, I'll I'll die quicker. Like, I need to make money doing something I love. And it's so crazy. Like, every day I come home so grateful. Like, I am just like, I'm doing exactly what I was meant to do. Like, just exactly what I was meant to do. And I know that that sounds crazy. Like, who thinks that they're meant to be around these, some may say, dark places when people are dying, and I find it so light. I find it to be sacred and beautiful, and we all have a time, and we're all going to die at some point. And I feel like having somebody care for you and love you and support you through this, and just be a support for your family, give you permission to let go. And because of my gifts and the way that I can assist in that way, it is peaceful. It's not traumatic the way I died and came back. It's so much more gentle. And I
It's
am
like you
so
knocked on death's
grateful.
door and was able to
Literally.
peek at what's on the other side. A lot of people haven't
Yes.
had that opportunity, and to know that
Yes.
there's peace and no, people have so much fear about that. They have
They
no
do.
idea what's coming. And so many of them also have religion, which add to it too, which make you
Yes.
feel shame and guilt and
Yes.
all kinds of other low vibe emotions. So for you to be like, hey, I've been there and I've come back from that side and I know it's going to be okay. I imagine that is very cathartic to hear.
It is. And I mean, I don't like walk around advertising that, but if people, you know, when you're sitting bedside with somebody, they're so vulnerable, and they'll share their whole life with you. They'll tell me stuff that they're not going to tell their husbands, their wives, their children. You know, I'm a non-biased party that they can kind of unburden themselves with, you know.
Yeah.
And I support all different religions, all, you know, from atheist to Muslim to Buddhist to Christian, whatever your brand is. I can remove my feelings and my thoughts and just be there for them. But I do try to provide some kind of comfort and just saying, this isn't the end. Like, there is something beyond this. And I compare it to when we were little babies and we're in the womb. We didn't want to come out. We were happy in there. We're floating around in this warm, beautiful womb, and we're getting fed, and we can hear our mom, and we are just happy. You can't, in the womb as a little self, know how big and vast and beautiful this world is, the colors, the taste, the smells. You think you have everything that you need here. That's what this earth is. It's a womb. You know, we just don't know what's out there, and there's so much fear, like, that it's just lights out, that's it, no consciousness, no self, no. And we here know that that's not true. So after that experience, like, I'm very okay with, I don't want to say I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not afraid of it. And I welcome it when it's my real time to go. And I know I still have a lot of work to do here. So I try to take things one day at a time. I try to be gentle on myself and respect my body and listen to it as much as I can. But when I'm working with a family, like, I don't feel the pain. I don't feel my own stuff. I'm so present with them that like I said, it's symbiotic. It works both ways. So I feel like I receive just as much love and attention when I'm working with these families in their vulnerable time.
And you do Reiki too. That's one of the gifts of Reiki, is as you send, you receive.
Correct. You know, that's so true. There was somebody who said that they were like a Reiki master, and I overheard her saying, she turned down a client or something because she was like, oh, it just like, or it was like a group thing that she was invited to do. And she's like, oh, I just can't do it because it takes all my energy away. I was like, you're not really Reiki attuned. You're full of shit. I was like, that's not how that works. Like you are not, you remove yourself and you're just this beautiful hollow vessel and it moves through you. Like I love doing Reiki on my animals, on my clients, on anybody, because I always say selfishly, like I get it too. Like what the relief and the tingly, like floaty, wonderful feeling that you feel, I feel. So I love to do it. And I was just looking at this girl like, that's not how that goes.
Yeah, you can tell you're not Reiki certified when you say it like that.
It scares me how many people, like, I'm sure you see it too, like how many people claim to be like a Reiki master or level 2, whatever it is, they say that they do Reiki, and then you'll bring up the different symbols or just that, and they're like, what? I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you might be sending good energy or good vibes or something. Like, there's probably something to whatever it is you're doing, but like, that's not Reiki, you know?
We have had so many different healing modalities out there, but the biggest thing I think in general that they all have in common is love. They give, you know what I mean? You give peace and love to the person, because
Yes.
that is the one thing at your end of life. You have so much stress and worry and concern for the people you're leaving behind too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing I see the most, and where people want to hold on because they're so scared of their family struggling without them. I think there's a beautiful piece when we come to accept where we are, and I watch the families like all holding each other and saying, you know, thank you, I forgive you, I love you, and I'm going to be okay. Like, we're going to be okay. And it seems like as soon as you give permission, they can let go easier. And I know that that's hard, and it's a very selfless thing to do, because, you know, in the back of your mind, you're like, I'm not going to be okay. You know, my mom's dying or my child's dying. I'm not going to be okay. But if you can know that you're going to be okay somehow, some way, just like when I was back in my physical body, knew somehow, some way I was going to make it through this and get to the other side. You will get through the grief. You will be able to continue living without your person. It just takes some time and adjustment. It's never gone. And I try to encourage again through my near death experiences, like when your loved one dies, they're still with you. It's just in a different form. It's going to be a different relationship, and talk to them, ask them to leave you specific signs and symbols that will work for you, that you can identify with, and you'll start seeing them everywhere. You know, it's just a different relationship that needs a different type of nurturing.
I had a client that booked a clearing the other day, and they were explaining about how they've gone through grief quite recently because they lost their parents. And I found both parents in the house.
Yeah.
And I was like, why haven't you guys crossed over? And they said, I can't leave. Like, she needs me. And I'm like, they're actually prolonging the grief.
Yes.
By not crossing over. So it's
they don't know that.
They don't, yeah, exactly. No, they don't. They don't know that.
And that's why you are so important, to help the soul part know this is actually harmful, not helpful for either of you, you know, for either of you. Yeah. And to help them to move on.
Yeah, it's kind of like convincing the baby to come out the womb in a way. It's like, you don't have to be afraid of what's coming. You got exciting things ahead of you too.
Yes.
So death is not the end by any means. It's a new beginning.
I agree. I agree with that completely. And that's what I see. And that's what rings true for me in my experience. And I love talking to other people who know this and work in this energy, because I think the more we talk about it, the more we share about it, the more we educate, even if it's like you were saying, like silly little social media stuff, like it's digestible. People feel seen, they feel safe, they feel like, okay, like I can learn this, and it's not as scary. I feel like information and knowledge removes the fear, you know?
Yeah.
It's what we don't know that makes us sad and scared.
I would love to be a death doula. I really would. But there's only one thing that deters me, and that is the paperwork.
I hear that. You don't have to do, believe it or not, it's a lot less
paperwork. If you could have somebody else to do the paperwork, I would do it.
Totally do that. Yeah. The hardest part for me was like just the initial business startup stuff. Like with my new clients, I do, you know, I type up a service agreement. We go over what it is that they want and they need. We sign it. If you see anybody in my videos or like a hand or a forehead or anything like that, I have signed releases for those, but those are already like printed out and we just, sign. Other than that, like it's not too much paperwork, believe it or not. It's just like the initial getting your business up and going. It's really, I mean, you can do a ton of paperwork if you want to, but you don't necessarily need to. Like some people write case notes and things every single day. I mean, I like to journal, so I keep notes of just different things that are going on, but it's not like you have to be in it. Like when I was a social worker, oh my God, we had so much paperwork. It's not, you don't have to do that much. It was so much.
All right,
Because
so
we're
that's
private
good. For
pay.
those of you who are also deterred, sorry, thinking about paperwork, there's ways around it. That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Once you get your initial business stuff started, like it's really pretty much just a service agreement. I do have like little folders that I've made for my clients, like so they have just my business card. They have like what is a death doula, what is hospice, what is palliative care, what is grief. But that's because I'm an extra. Like I always go extra and like do that. It's not required,
So for somebody who would like to find a death doula for somebody that they love, what is a good death doula? Because I'm sure that you don't service the whole of the world here. So
Right.
we need to find somebody as much like Mikey as possible if you don't live.
Yes.
You are in the Pennsylvania area though, yeah?
Yes, I am right on the border. I'm kind of right outside Philly. So I'm technically in New Jersey where I live, but I commute almost every day to Philly, and most of my clients are in like the suburbs of Philadelphia.
So you work in like a 40-mile radius around that area?
Yeah, and sometimes I'll do more. The most, about an hour drive I'll do, because that's like kind of where I tap out with my physical pain with sitting down. But yeah, that is me. But there are death doulas everywhere. I believe we have them in every single state now. Some of them are a little more restricted by their state. So some are not as hands-on because they can't be. Like there's just different states that are crazy, and there's some that like the funeral homes like run the entire state, which is a whole other issue.
Really? I've never heard of that.
Yes, I'll send you the information, or if people are more curious, there was a death doula. I just had her on my my death doula collective. She just spoke to us, and I cannot for the life of me, I'm trying to, it wasn't Texas, but it was a state that Kansas or something like that. And she was a death doula, and the funeral industry sued her, and she's like no longer allowed to practice because in that state you are apparently not even allowed to educate on, I mean, she was completely like hands off. She wasn't even doing any of the respite care. Yeah, it was just because she was speaking and educating about end of life care and the different options, and they will not let her speak. So she had to get like a big fancy lawyer. She like lost her business. She wasn't allowed to be a death doula for like over a year while this stuff was being litigated. It's been in the national news. I'll send you the article. It was crazy. Like, cause I saw this article popping up on my feed, like death doula sued. And I was like, I panicked. I'm like, oh my God, how could you be sued? Like, if you have your service agreement, you have your insurance and everything's okay. Like unless you're doing something really bad, like what happened? I assumed like, did she steal their medication? Did she like do a ritual, a cleansing ritual or something without consent? Like what happened? And it was just for educating. It was just for speaking about like cremation or different funeral services or water burials or green burials. And this whole funeral industry in her state has a monopoly over it. So she's trying to like change legislation now. Like this is, again, she's a higher vibrational person. Like it is scary. She was so depressed when she couldn't practice. You put all this money and this time, this energy is doing something that you really love and are passionate about.
Helping people. The funeral industry is making money. They don't give a shit how you die or how well you're taken care of.
Correct. And some funeral places like love us and some really hate us, because we will tell you like you can get that same casket on Amazon for half price, or you can get that same urn at this place for like $50, not $5,000.
Already not spending enough on the palliative care, and then it's unbelievable.
Crazy. There are some, I don't want to badmouth all of them, but there are a lot that are great, but most of them are very predatory in my experience. And really, because people are so vulnerable, and like we said in the beginning of this, they're in fight or flight. Their limbic system is offline. They're not able to make
Do you have any idea too how many earthbounds I find in funeral homes? Hundreds.
Oh my God, I believe it. I believe it.
They don't know where to go, what to do. A lot of them don't even know they're dead or they're stuck. Like there was this one funeral home where there was an earthbound that called the police from the funeral home. The police opened up 911, and they're like, they traced it back to an empty funeral home with nobody there. So I tuned in with my guides to check the funeral home. I said, was there an earthbound that called? They're like, there was an earthbound in the background. I was like, yeah, it's me.
That makes sense to me. See, I also wonder, again, this is not all but some, but they're nefarious and they do certain things that are not correct. And we're starting to see more and more of these people getting exposed. And I wonder if they get stuck there because their remains or their final resting place, like it's not
Yeah.
correct.
Well, they
It's
don't
not
have
correct.
a level of care either. They follow their body to these horrific places and then
Yes.
watch themselves be dissected or burned. And then they're like, well,
Yes.
what do I do now? You
That's
know?
right. That's right.
And
And
then
I
they get
think
stuck.
it's, yeah, they do. And that's what I was going to say. They get stuck. And then they need people like you to help them move. That's so interesting that you say that. Because I always feel that when I go in there and I'm helping my clients like figure out their
Oh, next
plans.
time you
And
walk into a really creepy one, hit me up. I'll
I
do it.
will. I will. I'm thinking of a couple right now. I'll probably send you their info. I think they're in PA
Please
too.
do.
It's just, it makes me really sad the way that some of these places will extort you. You know, I collaborate and speak to a few individuals, especially one, Serenity Funeral Homes in the UK, and the way they do so much time and care and details. And like over there, I mean, the total cost for everything is like $1,000, if that. Like for us here, it's several $1,000s for
Because the
the,
government's footing the bill is why. And
correct.
they make sure it's going to be cheap for them.
Yep. Yep.
So there
And
are ways
it's,
of doing it when you don't have a monopoly and you're controlling
yes.
lobbyists and all that. I can only imagine
Correct.
how much the funeral industry is pushing lobbying and all kinds of stuff in those areas.
Yep. Correct. And it makes me so angry because like I said, people are vulnerable. They're not able to make the best decisions. And some of these people are going like broke just trying to bury their parents, you know, and it's like that is terrible. Like your karma will come back to bite you in the ass because that is, I don't know. I just feel like I am probably one of the cheapest death doulas you can hire because like I'm not in it for the money. As long as I can pay my bills and do what I need to do, I'm good. Like I am not trying to be making all this money doing this. Like I just want to take care of my family. That's it. You know, I just feel like when you're in that vulnerable space, like you need to give some grace to people. You know, all of us are going to die. Like this is the one guarantee in life and this is the one resource we're all going to need, you know what I mean? And it's like do unto others as you would want to have done unto you is kind of how I feel. I don't know.
I think that many of us are starting to have this awakening and this understanding about the importance of having a peaceful death.
Yes.
And when you have that opportunity, because it is an opportunity, there's so many of us that die in accidents or heart attacks and things like this. We don't have a warning when it's coming. So to have that warning is a gift in a way. And in many cases, I know you suffer and there's a lot of pain involved, but it gives the family an opportunity to cope with the understanding that you'll be leaving.
Yep. And for you to like say your piece and to like clean up your side of the street if you feel like you need to. Like it is hard to watch. You know, some diseases are harder to die from than others. You know, if we're lucky, we all live to like 100 and we die our natural death and there is no pain. Like the dying process is not painful. It's just the disease or the illness that somebody may have that may be causing certain pains, like certain cancers and other things that are painful. And that's why hospice is important to help mitigate that pain. And then you need somebody else to help guide the whole process for you, you know?
Yeah. It's just crazy that you have religious rights, and especially down south. I mean, down where I am right now, we're down in Missouri, this sort of thing. You know, when you're in that Bible Belt area, you'd think they would have more freedom of religion and peace and choosing your own way to go. So to hear that they're even trying to stop death doulas from being able to help people transition is quite scary. And Michelle even said, like, I have a feeling that this is the dark side trying to stop it. I agree, Michelle, because you know when money is involved, there's a lot of negative attention, and when there's a lot of souls involved, that intensifies even further. Because
100%.
So I do wonder, you know, how this is. I bet you this is going to become much more common thing as people start getting more awakened to this.
I think so too. And I think the more people that are awakened are going to be calling out a lot of this stuff. Like it's not. the death doulas, there is a paradigm. We're in the middle of a paradigm shift right now. I just may be one of the faces you see more than others. There are death doulas everywhere, and we've been around since the beginning of time. We just have not done a great job of letting people know we are here and what we do. And that's why I'm here. There's my friend Casey. She's very vocal on social media as well. We're trying to educate. We're trying to make these experiences the best that they can be. And I really do think that it's just not sustainable. Like I said, the cost, the baby boomers are starting to get sick and starting to die, and our generation they gobbled up all the resources. We cannot provide for you the way you hope that we can. If you're paying people still $15 an hour minimum wage when it should be $66 an hour to equal what you guys were making back when you were our age.
Yeah.
What do you guys want us to do for you? I don't know anybody my age that's not working multiple jobs and trying to take care of their kids and their homes, and if they're lucky enough to even have a home, at the cost of all of that. I'm like, this is corporate greed. The cuts to Medicaid that are coming are going to be a disaster. Like, these facilities cannot stay open without funding from Medicaid. So that's going to go. They're already hanging on by a thread because the people at the top take all of that money, and they're only paying the aides and the nurses, minimum wage. And it's not sustainable. So it's going to be interesting to see how this continues to progress. And I do feel like, especially the younger generation, I get calls all the time. Can you help me do my advanced directive? I want to put in my advanced directive, like all of the comfort things. I want Reiki. I want a soul cleansing. I want cord cutting. I want a doula. I want to be at home. Put it all in there, because you never know. Like you said, accidents happen and you might not be able to advocate for yourself. So make sure that you put in there, if you don't want to be in a facility, if you do want to be in a facility, which one do you want to go to? My goal in the future would be to open a hospice house where I can have individuals who have nowhere to go come and die peacefully and supported. I would have a 24/7 nurse that is hired. I would also be training other individuals to be death doulas under me, that I would feel comfortable putting under my name. That's my big pie in the sky. One day it will happen. I'm manifesting that will happen. I have big plans for that, because again, I just want people to have a safe place to land during their most vulnerable time. Because for me, with what happened to me after my near-death experience, I needed a safe place to be. I needed to be taken care of. I needed to be advocated for and looked out for, and I was taken advantage of. And I can only imagine how some of these precious little people who are stuck in these facilities are being taken advantage of, and I don't like it. So I can't change the whole world, but maybe in my little area I can change it, and then other people will be inspired to do the same thing, and we can change this to a better, holistic, tender place to be.
Oh, that's beautiful, Mikey. Thank you so much. I'm just curious, do you think you could ever do something like this online training, or would it have to be in person?
Yes, definitely. I could totally do that online. I have some webinars I'm going to be doing soon about how to become a death doula. And if you are a death doula, a lot of people, okay, they have their certification. Now what? Like, how do I get clients? How do I do what you're doing where you're working consistently? So that is coming. I'm hoping to release those early fall. Yeah, I think there's a lot of us coming. There are a lot of us coming. And I think that we're going to do this different, especially our generation, because it's not working the way we have it set up right now.
I'm just dropping a link for everybody. Mikey had her social medias hacked about a month or so ago.
Yeah.
And, so she's starting over from scratch, unfortunately, which is really, it's heartbreaking to have to do that after you put so much time and love and energy into it. So, I'm very sorry to hear that. And I'm sorry that Facebook wasn't more supportive and helpful for all of this.
Yeah, I can't figure that out. That's a whole world I don't understand. There's nobody to actually speak to. You send all these reports, my page, I can see it sometimes where I think it has almost 100K followers, and somebody took it and it's there, but obviously it's not me. And I don't think I'm going to get it back. I mean, I would love it if I do get it back, but I miss our community there. So I'm trying to rebuild. I'm trying to build back the community that we had, because it was this one, very, very special.
Yeah. Well, make sure that you guys give her a follow. I just dropped a link for you. It's
Thank
Mikey
you.
the Death Doula on social media. Follow her on Instagram, and you're on TikTok as well, aren't
Yeah,
you?
all of them.
Brilliant.
On all the
Lovely.
things.
How's that been going for you? Is that helping you
Good.
grow a bit?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of stalled. I don't. These algorithms are so interesting. Like how I'll never figure it out. I'm not like a good tech person, but all I do is be authentically myself, post my stuff, answer questions, and whatever is going to happen is going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get it. And I feel that this is also, sometimes one of the ways that the dark side tries to stop us from being able to reach people. So just make sure that you're keeping your, optimism intact. And even though you have to start over, you're going to have the right people find you regardless.
I do believe that, especially with what I've gone through. That's why I'm saying I'm not going to let my vibration go down. I'm like, okay, well, then it wasn't meant to be mine. Like, you can't lose something that wasn't meant to be yours. So I trust that the universe took that and it's going to give me a bigger blessing on the other side. I just got to keep being myself and just keep going,
Yes, absolutely. Well,
Thank you so much for having me.
Jinx.
You're the best, Laura. I love your community. I love your people. I had somebody reach out from your community asking about being a death doula. They sent me an email. We had a lovely phone conversation. I think what you do and what I do is such a beautiful complement to each other. And, I can't do what I do without people like you to help that next transition on. Like it's kind of like a piggyback approach. I help them go. And then the ones that are stuck, you can help them.
The ones that are stubborn and they're like, I'm not sure if I'm ready yet. We'll be like, all right, we'll call in Jesus.
Yes, I love it. I just am in awe of you. I'm so grateful.
Jesus, right? They'll go then.
Right. You're the best. I appreciate your sense of humor. I appreciate your joy in what you do in your education. Like what you provide is such a gift. It really is.
Thank you, Mikey. Well, make sure that you keep up with planning that training because I will make sure that you've got some students filling it up for you.
Thank you. I will. Thank you so much.
I love you guys. We are going to pop over to Astara in just a minute, so we'll have our weekly Monday chat. Thank you so much, Mikey. I look forward to our next conversation in a few weeks.
Me too. Thank you.
Love you guys. See you all tomorrow.